I'd like to call the, hold on, I'm gonna make sure I have my stuff here. It was just here. Is it that one? It is that one. Thank you. All right, at this time I'd like to call the Crystal City Council meeting to order. Let's start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Budashevsky.
Here.
Councilmember Cumming.
Here.
Councilmember Eidbo.
Here.
Councilmember Kamish. Here. Councilmember Kaiser.
Here.
Mayor Adam.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an agenda before us, looking for a motion on that agenda. Go ahead, John.
So moved.
Looking for a second. Therese?
I'll second.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. First item is a presentation on Neighbors Recognizing Neighbors Award. I believe Adam is talking about this one.
Actually, it's Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mike is doing it.
Mr. Mayor, council members, for 7 years now, the City of Crystal has honored those who make Crystal a wonderful place to live and work in its Neighbors Recognizing Neighbors Award recognition program. Early each year, the city seeks nominations from residents who would like to see their wonderful neighbors recognized for their kindness and helpfulness. This year, the Park and Recreation Commission reviewed the nominations we received and picked 4 winners for 2023. Those winners were invited to the council meeting tonight, and many of them are here in attendance. A video presentation has been put together to honor them and their contributions to our community. In this video by CCX videographer Roger Larson, we will hear from the 2023 winners, Phil and Donna Bradbury, Naomi Davidson, Charlie Weehee, Lowell Coleman, and Becky and Steve Wilk. So if I can get this going. Where's the, how do I do the share? Oh, did you pop? Matt must have popped it up. Okay, sorry. I was looking for it and it's right in front of me.
Neighbors Recognizing Neighbors Award for being a great neighbor in the City of Crystal 2023. You know, we just do what we do. I guess they nominated us because we shovel around the fire hydrant so that the firefighters can get there, but I thought that was part of owning the house.
All the neighbors on this block are really, really great neighbors.
I appreciate it. It's kind of fun to have somebody say you did something nice for them, I guess. It'd be nice if everybody was looking out for everybody else, and that'd be fun. Make the place a nicer place to live. Everybody ought to help their neighbor out. If nobody's looking out for their neighbors, it just kind of makes life go harder around you, doesn't it? Make sure nobody's busting in or that they don't need a hand with something. You know, if everybody does that, everything moves a little smoother in your neighborhood.
In order to have a good neighbor award, you got to have good neighbors, and we have very good neighbors all around.
You know, we've been so blessed with the people that live in this whole Brownwood territory here, that they're just wonderful. And everybody supports each other, takes care of each other. Somebody is ill right now, and there's a food train that has been organized so that they will get a meal every day.
It was really kind of strange to get the phone call.
It was.
Well, because I never even knew the award existed. Anytime someone was in the neighborhood, we're usually one of the first ones to go over and welcome them, you know, say, hi, how you doing?
Right.
You know, if you need anything, we're here to help.
You know, and as much as we've traveled around the world, it still feels really good to come home.
Yeah.
Makes you realize how fortunate we are.
All right, that's all I had, Mr. Mayor, council members.
All right.
A round of applause.
Well, we want to thank you, the council wants to thank you, obviously, for making our community what it is. It's one of our goals to make our neighborhoods feel welcome in every part of Crystal. So we're grateful for people like you, and we want to encourage others to take your I guess to use you as a role model to help them in their own communities. So. Thank you so much for everything you do in our community. We appreciate it. All right. Now, just because you're here, you don't have to stay for the whole council meeting. That's up to you. Although this next part is kind of interesting if you want to. We have a new council member we're going to be swearing in. So at this point in time, I believe we're going to do a swearing in, and Chrissy's going to do that. Is that right? Or am I missing the order?
Mr. Mayor, first, the council needs to formally vote to make the appointment. You fill the vacancy, and then on that.
Oh, yeah.
Then the oath can take place.
All right, thank you for that. All right, next is the vacancy appointment. Looking for a motion on that one. Go ahead, John.
I make a motion appointing Taji Onesirosan as council member representing Section 1 for a term ending December 31st, 2024.
All right, Tracy?
I second that.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Didn't even need to.
So, we had quite a few candidates, more than we expected. Was it 11?
Mm-hmm.
11 candidates, and we went through a lot of different processes to try to narrow it down. We got down to the point where we were at 2 candidates, and we went through 3 different iterations of trying to have a winner, so to speak. And the deliberations were, they increased as we went on to each time, trying to figure out, is somebody going to change their mind? So it was really an interesting process. I was struck by this council and how well we communicated back and forth. I thought that was really good, and I think we started out a little bit shy, but by the end of the night, we really put our opinions out on the table, and I think that's what we're supposed to be doing. So at the end of the night, something that's not unheard of, but we ended up flipping a coin, and it's been done in history. It's been done in many different levels of government. And that's because we were in a place where we were very happy and comfortable with either choice. And this is where we ended up. So kind of unusual. All right, Chrissy, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I, Taji Onesirosan, solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States and the state of Minnesota. And I will, in all respects, observe the provisions of the Charter and ordinances of the City of Crystal. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Council Member Section 1 to the best of my judgment and ability. And I do this under the penalties of perjury. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
A different view up here.
There is a different view. All right, we're going to just move on to a business if you're ready for that. Next item is consent agenda. I'll read that into the record at this time. Council will consider the next items routine and non-controversial in nature in a single motion. First is the approval of the minutes for the following meetings: the Crystal City Council work session on April 4th and the regular council meeting from that same date. And then approval of the amended list of license applications submitted by the city clerk. They are on file in the city clerk's office. And then approval of the appointment of Olivia Weathermeyer to the Environmental Quality Commission for a term that expires December 31st, 2025. Looking for a motion on this one. Go ahead, Tracy.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second. Go ahead.
So seconded.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Barely had time to say nay if you opposed. All right, open forum. Is there anybody here wishing to speak during open forum?
Anybody,
No?
Mr. Mayor?
Nobody wishing to speak during open forum. We'll skip by open forum. Regular agenda, first item is disbursements of $25,000 or greater. I'll read those into the record at this time. First item is Health Partners, Inc. for the April health insurance premiums for a dollar amount of $128,580. And then Musco Sporting Lighting for LLC for Becker Park lighting upgrades, $56,000. Gotta be kidding. $56,090. And then Logis for monthly hosting and support for $110,123. West Metro Fire Rescue District for April contributions, $123,281. McQueen Equipment for the replacement sweeper, $264,444. MinPair for employee required contributions for pay date 3/31/23, $66,340. Electronic payments for the IRS for the same pay date is $71,595. Total disbursements of $25,000 or greater is $820,454.79. Are there any questions on any of these items? I have one question. The sports lighting on Becker Park, do we know, is that done yet? At last I heard earlier in the week it wasn't done.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I don't know if that last little piece is done yet or not. The lights are up, the control panel is in the building, and there was some connection. They were needing to wait till the ground thawed, which recently happened. So I'm not sure if they've gotten out there yet to do that or not.
Okay. Can we hold payment until they get it done? We can approve it.
Well, I think it's so there's the light purchase.
Oh, this is just the purchase and
Right,
that's
and
not
then
labor.
we have a contract with the electrician
Perfect.
to install it.
Thanks for the clarification. All right, thank you. That's all my questions. Anybody else? Seeing none, looking for a motion on this. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve expenditures over $25,000.
All right, looking for a second. Go ahead.
I second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Next, we have our city planner, Dan Olson, here to talk to us about a plat at Hampton Addition. Welcome, Dan.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As was said, this is two items related to the same project. The first is a first reading of the ordinance rezoning the property to planned development. And the second is approval of the preliminary plat for the development. And these are located at 3401-3415 Douglas, which is on the corner of 34th and Douglas. So here in blue is the location of the property. Here is 34th here, and then here is Douglas. So the hearing notice was published in the Sun Post, as we always do. We mailed to properties within 1,000 feet, including tenants and owners. We also posted the notice on the website, and we also posted it to all neighborhoods on next door. So here is a comparison of the 2009 versus the 2021 aerial photos. In 2009, this was the site when the gas station and another commercial building were on the property. Those were demolished in 2010 after the EDA purchased it. And then 21 is the vacant lot that's been sitting there vacant since then. So Hampton Companies is proposing to purchase the vacant property from the city's EDA. They are proposing to build 2 4-unit townhome buildings for a total of 8 units. First, they are requesting to rezone the property from R2, which is medium density residential, to planned development with an underlying zoning of R2. As I said, they're proposing to replat the lot into 2 lots. It's 2 lots now, but they're going to replat it into 8 lots for each townhome unit, and then also there's going to be a common lot for the development itself. The property is designated as medium density residential in the comp plan, and that allows for a density of 6 to 16 units per acre. And the proposed density is 7 units per gross acre. So here is the site plan for the development. Here is the north building, and here is the south building. This, of course, is Douglas Drive, and here is 34th. There's one driveway for the development that comes off of 34th, and here's the driveway that goes up here, and then there are 9 surface parking spots along this rear property line. This is overflow or visitor parking because each unit will have an attached 2-car garage. Here is the preliminary plat. It shows it's in 2 different blocks. This is block 1 for the northern building. There's 4 lots there, 1 for each unit. And then the same for the south building. And then outlot A is a drainage and utility easement over the whole common area for the development. So it's owned by the homeowners association. Here is just a general description of the townhomes themselves. First, the question often comes up, are these going to be owned or rented? Hampton has said that they will determine if these market rate townhomes will be owner occupied or rented once they finish construction and kind of see if the market dictates at that time. The building height, these are 2 stories, which is 25 feet in height. The size of the unit, on the first floor, each unit will be approximately 700 square feet with another 1,100 square feet on the upper floors for a total of 1,800 square feet. There will be 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths per unit with a 400 square foot attached garage in the back. There will not be basements. This is a slab on grade construction, and each unit will have a patio. So here are the elevation drawings. First on the top there is what the units will look like facing Douglas. There will be a patio, as you said, a patio with a patio door facing Douglas. This is the west elevation, which is facing the driveways and the parking lot. So here are the garage doors. This at the top here is what it would look like facing 34th, and then here is what it would look like from the north, facing the townhome development that is on that north side. You may be aware that the PD zoning allows for customized setbacks and lot dimensions. So here, these tables show what would be required underneath the standard R2 zoning, and then what's proposed under the PD. I'll just point out the different setbacks here. On the south, what would be required would be 30, but it's proposed to be 23. On the east, which is facing Douglas, the R2 would require 30. It will be 13 feet. And that is measured to the property line. That was something that came up at the Plan Commission. There was some discussion. So it's to the property line, but there's also, as I'll show you later, there's It's 20 feet to the sidewalk and then 28 feet to the actual curb of Douglas. So it's 13 doesn't sound very deep, but when you consider that there's other pieces of land between the property line and the curb, it's quite a distance. So on the north, the required setback under R2 is 30, and they're proposing 10. Each unit, as you can see, will be zero. It's called zero lot line. So each unit will be abutting each other within each building, and then there's a 10-foot separation between the two buildings. For the lot area, here is the proposed lot areas for each unit. They range from about 1,500 to 1,600 square feet per townhome lot. The whole development, the whole lot itself will be about 30,000 square feet. The lot depth is 61 feet per townhome lot, but again, it's 109 if you go back from the front lot line to the back lot line where the parking lot is at. And then finally, the lot width, it's 25 to 27 feet per townhome lot, but the lot width from north to south along Douglas is 243 feet. So as I said, each townhome unit will have a 2-car attached garage with a driveway access from 34th. The site plan provides for 9 surface parking spaces that provide for overflow and visitor. Stormwater management will be managed by a drainage swell along the north property line and a trench drain within the driveway itself. Impervious surface will be 68%, which meets the maximum of 75% and represents a reduction from the 82% coverage of the previous use. So you saw that 2009 aerial photo. There's a lot of hard surface there with the gas station and that other commercial building. So there will be hard surface again, but it won't be as much as what it was in 2009. And then, as always, we require erosion control measures to be in place during construction. Utilities, the townhomes will connect with existing water and sewer mains. There will be a new water connection in 34th to provide an alternate looped system for the townhomes in case something happens to the Douglas connection. So they'll have a backup. And then new drainage and utility easements will be dedicated on the plat. As far as landscaping, there are very few trees on the site now. There's a few along the north property line, but 12 new trees will be planted. These are on the screen there, you can see the different tree species that will be planted. They'll also plant quite a few varieties of shrubs to screen the foundation of the buildings. For exterior lighting, there will not be any pole lights, but the townhomes will have wall fixtures, which one of the conditions of approval is that the applicant flesh that out more and provide a detailed lighting plan to us that meets our requirements. Finally, just the Planning Commission action. They held the public hearing. They determined that the development meets the requirements of city code, and they recommended approval of the preliminary plat and the rezoning to R2 PD with the conditions in the staff report. There were 2 people that spoke at the public hearing. Only one of the 2 expressed opposition. The main opposition was because of they felt like the building was too close to Douglas, and that inhibited sight lines at 34th and Douglas for those vehicles making that turn movement. The staff has, in your staff report there, addressed this. There will be no buildings or landscaping will be located within what's called the visibility triangle, which preserves adequate sight lines for motorists and pedestrians. I'll go back to the site plan. Here is the visibility triangle right here, and you can see it's quite far from the building. And within this triangle, there's no portions of the building, there's no landscaping within that visibility triangle. And then, as I noted earlier, the buildings will be 20 feet from the sidewalk and also 28 feet from the existing curb on Douglas. So tonight you're being asked to approve a first reading of the rezoning ordinance and then also adopt a resolution approving the preliminary plat. The next steps would be on May 2nd. You'll be asked to do a second reading of the ordinance, approve the final plat, and then also approve the vacation of drainage and utility easements for the property. Construction would begin sometime later in '23 and then be completed by mid-'24. So I'm available for questions if you have any, and I see that the applicant, Dan Brown, is also on the Zoom call. Do you have any questions for him?
All right. Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Go ahead. Tracy?
So on the west side of the property, I see there's a concrete retaining wall that's going to be removed. Is there going to be any sort of fencing or anything between the current house that's there and the townhouse complex?
Do you mean the commercial building that's there?
Is that a commercial building that's
it's
right there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an insurance office.
Okay.
Yes, there'll be a retaining wall there with a fence over a portion of that retaining wall.
Okay.
It's let's see here. This is
In all fairness, it looks a lot like a house.
I know.
okay.
Probably was a house
Sure
Okay.
it was a house.
It's not moving. Not sure why it's not moving, but I'm trying to go back to the site plan. There it goes. Looks like somebody's moving it.
Someone's got the controls. We'll get there.
We'll get there. One more. Yes, okay, so here is the retaining wall. You can see, and then there is a fencing above that. It ends right here. And here is the office building. These are vacant lots right now. There is a home over here on the other side of the office building. But these are vacant here.
And those are currently landlocked.
There is a right-of-way on the other side. It's Edgewood, but it's not improved. And
There's no
utilities.
road.
So.
Okay, go ahead, Taji.
I'm curious how large the patios are going to be. And my question really is like, how close is that going to be to the sidewalk? And also the fences that are mentioned, are those going to go around the patio?
Yes, the patios themselves will be, they are 6 feet deep. I'm not sure how, they're 6 feet deep coming off the foundation. So they're approximately 7 feet from the property line.
So then what, 14 feet from the sidewalk, if we're saying it's
28?
Yes.
20 feet, okay.
Yes, there is a fence that's sort of in front of the patios to kind of give it some little bit of privacy there, but it's not a fence that is completely
Not gonna enclose it.
enclosed all the way down along Douglas, so that people can move there. There's areas for them to move in and out, and also for one of the questions that came up at the public hearing was just EMS personnel being able to get in and out of the units there. So there's openings there that for that to happen.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I have two questions. One is related to garbage pickup, like how that's planned to be here. Is it with like a dumpster that's going to have an enclosure, or is it kind of curious on that? And then I do have a second question after that one.
Sure. Each unit will have its own, it'll be like a single-family home in that respect. It'll just have the dumpster or the garbage bins within the garage, and then they'll bring them out for trash day. Yep. There won't be a central dumpster enclosure.
Okay. And then my second question is related to stormwater management, which you mentioned briefly. It seemed as though there's no mitigation planned. It's the main thing is, well, the previous use was so high that we're a little bit less, so we don't technically need to do any, ponds or underground catch basins or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes, it's under an acre, so the watershed, they sort of leave it up to the city in most respects. There is the trench drain that I mentioned earlier is right here, as you're coming from the driveway into the parking area, and then the swale is along the north property line. one of the conditions is that the watershed does want to approve some aspects of this, but they don't necessarily have stringent requirements because it is under an acre in size. So.
Right, but the trench drain just goes straight to stormwater, right?
Yes.
And then the swale, that it's a grass trench pretty much, right?
Yeah.
That also goes mighty fast. All right.
Yeah, it's going to flow toward the east, which toward Douglas area.
All right. I do love this design, and I'm very happy to see that it wasn't oriented with the parking towards Douglas. I'm happy to see that the buildings are facing Douglas, but I am disappointed to see that there was no kind of stormwater holding built in with this plan. Even though it didn't need to, I would have liked to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a pretty tight site, as you can see. I think it's 0.7 acres, so it's a pretty tight site in that respect. But.
Yep. You're done?
Yep. Thank
All
you.
right. Go ahead,
I have a
Teresa.
question. First of all, I want to say, I think it's pretty exciting. That's been a empty lot for way, way, way too long. So I think I'm excited about that. I know because it was a gas station, are we sure the site has been, all the environmental stuff has been done to clean it up? Okay.
Yes, in 21 and 22, the city retained a consultant to do what's called a phase 1 and 2 environmental investigation, and they did find soil contamination on the south lot, which is where the gas station was. And so the next step after that was to have the MPCA, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, approve what's called a response action plan. And that was approved last October. And that plan it just kind of spells out, okay, this is what happens point by point when you're doing construction if you encounter contaminated soil. So we know that the builder is going to encounter that because we've already had the investigation done. So the RAP really goes into detail about how the soils are excavated, how they're disposed of, and it's very detailed. And the environmental consultant watches over why that's happening. They're out there on the site why the builder is doing the investigation, or the excavation.
And Hampton Companies is the developer?
Yes, they are, yes.
Thank you.
And we have received a grant from Hennepin County to cover the costs of mitigation of the contamination.
One more question. Has Hampton Companies built in Crystal before?
Yes, they built the Sweet Living, which is just a few feet just north of here. It's the assisted living facility. It was built I think it started in 21 or 22, and it's been open for 6 months, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Forrest.
I had one more question because you mentioned Sweet Living. Is there any signage planned with this?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one more.
Go ahead, Tracy.
So you mentioned that there wasn't going to be any pole lighting, but it's going to be on the walls. Is that going to be enough to illuminate the parking lot?
Yeah, I think that they will have lighting that will illuminate the parking lot. Our main concern is that it doesn't spill over into other areas, so that's our main concern. That's why we have a formalized exterior lighting plan submitted before the building permit is issued. But yeah, it'll be able to illuminate the parking lot as well.
All right. Last chance for questions. Seeing none. We ready for a motion? Anyone?
I think so.
John? David?
Oh,
no. I thought.
Oh,
I saw
no, I just.
John, go ahead.
Sure. I make
I'll
a
second.
motion approving the first reading of the ordinance rezoning 3401 and 3415 from R2 to R2-PD.
All right, and David?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, next motion.
Make a motion adopting a resolution approving the preliminary plat of Hampton Addition.
All right, thank you. David?
I'll second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Dan.
I have the next item, so I'll stay up.
The UDC. Go ahead.
Yes, looks like Matt's bringing it up here. So. Okay. So this is, the item here is first reading of a text amendment to the Unified Development Code relating to electric fences. The city has received a text amendment request from Amarok LLC, which is a maker of electric fences based in South Carolina. I would just clarify that the amendment that's in your packet, the red line, that is all from Amarok. The city did not have a hand in crafting the text or the language of that, so that's completely from them. What the amendment mainly says is that this would allow electric fences, which are currently prohibited in Crystal, in the following districts: commercial, industrial, airport, and then also some uses in the non-residential, or some non-residential uses within the residential districts as well, such as churches and schools. These are just some notable elements of Amarok's ordinance. First, that the minimum fence height for the electric fence will be 10 feet. The ordinance also requires what's called a perimeter fence, so it's a fence that sits outside of the electric fence, and that has to be at least 5 feet in height, and as I said, would sit in front of their electric fence. They have quite a bit of language relating to a code that they referenced. I have contacted our city's contracted electrical inspector and the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. They have confirmed that electrical code has not been adopted by the state of Minnesota, so it's not enforceable within Crystal. So the Planning Commission held a public hearing, and these are the findings I'll go over with you that they determined for their recommendation, which was to deny the electric fence ordinance. Their first finding was that electric fences would be allowed in large areas of Crystal. So as I noted, these would be allowed in the commercial, industrial, and AP districts, airport district. On your screen there is just one example from your packet of Cub. The arrow shows where an electric fence could be right up against a single-family residential area. Their text also would allow electric fences in residential districts. It's a little confusing about what types of uses would be allowed in residential districts, but at the very least it would be for non-residential uses like churches and schools and that sort of thing. As I said earlier, the second finding is that the electric code that they cited is unenforceable in the state of Minnesota. The third finding is that relates to commercial area aesthetics. You've seen a lot of surveys from Crystal residents through the years, and they have consistently demonstrated a desire for more appealing commercial areas. Electric fences are inconsistent with achieving that goal. The next finding is that relates to storage in buildings. Property owners always have the option of protecting their assets by storing them in a building rather than outdoors with an electric fence. Next, law relates to lawful non-conforming uses. So the idea here is that once these electric fences are installed, if this ordinance were to be adopted, it would be virtually impossible to remove those electric fences if the ordinance is later changed, because once they're here, you can't remove them. And then last, they cited other cities and what they do. These are 10 cities. Most of these are adjacent to us: Golden Valley, New Hope, Robbinsdale, St. Louis Park, Brookens Center, Brookens Park. Those are all adjacent to us, and those all said do not allow electric fences in their city. The only two that did were Plymouth and Maple Grove under certain fairly limited circumstances. So the Planning Commission recommended denial of the text amendment. No one from the public did speak. Tonight, because of that action, in your packet is a resolution to deny the text amendment. So I'm available for questions if you have any. I see that there's a couple of representatives from Amarok on the Zoom call.
Okay.
As well.
Questions for Dan? Go ahead, Tracy.
Is there like some sort of I guess I'm confused as to why this is an issue right now. Like, is there some sort of thing going on that would require this, or why all of a sudden are we getting this request?
Well, Amarok at the public hearing said that they had an interested property owner in Crystal, we don't know who that is. When I first spoke with Amrock representatives, when they first approached me about this, I asked them if they had a particular property in mind, and they said no. So some point that changed. We still don't know who that is. So it's just, we're just, I guess you have to take their word that there is somebody, but we don't have any idea that there is an actual need for this.
Is there any other city in Minnesota that actually has their fences if their code isn't?
I'm not aware of anybody in Minnesota. Maybe they wouldn't know. I think there might be some in like other states, like California, possibly.
All right, any other questions? Any questions for the gentleman online? Seeing none.
I'm here for my presentation. I believe I'm entitled to one, aren't I?
A presentation?
No.
No.
Excuse me?
You're not, no, the answer to your question was no.
So I'm not entitled for a rebuttal or anything else?
So, Mr. Mayor?
You can make some comments, but not a presentation.
So you're going to just take the side of the city staff and not listen to us at all?
Well, that is our option. However.
Well, tell me what your option is. I'd like to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, just to be clear, the way the ordinance amendment process works when it's requested like this, the notice and hearing and opportunity for the applicant to speak comes at the hearing, which of course was held by the Planning Commission. Planning Commissions, I know you all know this, but then makes a recommendation to the council. So then it's really up to the council presiding officer to determine whether or not the applicant is permitted to speak, or if you wish to place limits on their input at this point. So, but no, there isn't a statutory right to speak at the council meeting.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
I did inform the applicant from Amrock that this was not a public hearing, and that the mayor and council had the discretion to not allow public testimony. So
that is not true at all, Dan. Not at all.
Okay, so I have asked the council if they have any questions for you. At this point in time, nobody has raised their hand, so we're going to continue with our process. All right, looking for a motion on this item. Tracy?
Since this is my house is my cub, so. I would like to make a motion to deny request to amend the Crystal City Code to allow electric fences.
Go ahead, Forrest.
Second.
Is that language clear enough the way it's written?
So, Mr. Mayor, just to be clear on the motion, it was to adopt the resolution denying.
Oh, to adopt it, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I have to restate it?
Nope, you've made clarification now.
As long as you're clear that that was
Okay.
your motion.
And
So
you're clear that's what you're
Yes,
looking at?
yep.
All right, thank you.
We're denying their application, okay, got it. Wanna make
If
sure.
if you choose to vote yes, then the ordinance will not be changed.
Okay,
Is that clear?
yes, thank you.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, so if you vote aye, not yes.
Right. You were clear enough, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Next, we have our Recreation Director, John Elholm, here to talk to us about Broadway Park and some pavement and play area. Welcome, John.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm here tonight with 3 park projects. You've seen them all before in some form or another. I'll just start off with Broadway Park. This is, we were back here, I believe it was in February, talking about a playground, and the playground has been approved and has been ordered, as with the picnic shelter, which has also been ordered. So tonight we're here looking for a contract with someone to install the concrete and bituminous trails throughout the park that connects all these new features. We'll note that there was an alternate that we were considering at one point, but we have decided not to accept that. That's on the purple line on the map. It actually would go in front of the backstop, so there's some question whether that could stay. It reduces the amount of open space, and the budget for this is a little bit tight for all of our projects this year, so we're recommending not doing that. But what this does include is footings for the shelter, the patio, the concrete under the shelter, play area curb, blacktop trails, and pedestrian ramps. So we do have funds in the Broadway Park budget. We do have a grant, a CDBG grant. We have a capital budget that includes the play area and the concrete work for the shelter. We have purchased the play area out of that already. Actually hasn't been paid for yet, we ordered it. And that leaves us a remaining budget of $179,556. We did solicit quotes from 4 different companies. 2 of them responded. The lowest of them is Odessa 2 in the amount of $114,085. I should point out that because the CDBG grant is a federal grant, we are required to follow prevailing wage rules for this project. So with that, we're looking to approve a resolution entering into an agreement with Odessa 2 in the amount of $114,085 to install concrete and bituminous trails in Broadway Park.
All right, thank you, John. Questions for John? Seeing none. Go ahead, John.
I'll make a motion recommending approving the proposed concrete and bituminous work at Broadway Park as proposed.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second on that.
We're down at the end down there.
Taji, go ahead. Second. All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, you want to continue with your next item?
Yeah, moving on to the other 2 parks. These are do not have federal funds involved, so they're not prevailing wage projects. But we were here before approving purchase of a shelter for Crystal Highlands Park. You can see on the map, we have a picnic shelter, basketball court will be redone, and the play area in this park actually is going to stay there. It's not as old as the other ones. There's some designated open space as well. So this project would include shelter footing, shelter patio, blacktop trails, and pedestrian ramps. Also on this one, we have Welcome Park, which we approved the play area and the fitness circuit a few weeks ago. So it includes a fitness circuit, play area, some open space. And the project here today is for contract to do the play area curb, fitness pod curb, patio, sidewalks, and pedestrian ramps. There actually isn't any bituminous work at this. It's all concrete sidewalks. We do have a budget for sidewalks and trails, and we also have a budget for the shelter, which includes some funds for the concrete work. So the remaining budget on these is $140,000. We did receive quotes from, we've solicited 4 quotes and 2 of them were returned. Odessa 2 was the lowest on both of those. $51,475 for Crystal Highlands and $87,250 for Welcome Park. I should point out Odessa 2 is also the one working at Bassett Creek Park, so they were purposely trying to keep their prices low because they would like to stay in Crystal and just keep working in this area. So we're pleased with the quotes that they provided. So the recommendation on this is to approve a resolution entering into an agreement with Odessa 2 in the amount of $51,475 to install concrete and bituminous trails in Crystal Highlands Park, and in the amount of $87,250 to install concrete in Welcome Park.
All right. Questions for John on this one? Seeing none, looking for a motion?
I can take care of that.
John, go ahead.
Make a motion approving the resolution for proposed concrete work and bituminous paths in Crystal Highlands Park and concrete work in Welcome Park as proposed.
All right, looking for a second. Tracy?
I'll second.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's see, we got some announcements, just a few of them here. Metropolitan Airport Commission will hold a series of meetings at Crystal Community Center Wednesday, April 9th regarding the proposed Crystal Airport zoning ordinance. There will be open house from 4:30 to 5:30. Presentation will be at 5:30, a public hearing at 6 p.m. Then the next city council meeting will be Tuesday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Here at council chambers at City Hall, also available via Zoom. Parks and Recs Commission will host an annual Arbor Day celebration and park cleanup on Wednesday, May 3rd from 6 to 7 p.m. at Winnetka Hills Park Yeah, that's at 8617 31st Avenue. To accommodate Crystal residents participating on No Mow May, which provides habitat and nutrition for early season pollinators. The city will wait until June 1st to begin the long grass enforcement. City council meeting and work sessions are available for your listening or viewing on our website at crystalmn.gov. John, you got something?
I have a question, yeah.
Sure.
Regarding No Mow May, Adam, are we gonna have, what are we doing? Are we gonna have signs
There's some
available?
signs that Mark, who's not here tonight, Mr. Ray, but he has signs that are available that he is getting out. I believe that's being done through the EQC.
Right.
And
Is Mike promoting it on our?
Yes, and
as
so
well,
we'll be
so-
promoting it across all the city.
They will be available at the Arbor Day celebration, is my understanding from the last EQC meeting.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to grab some, they can grab them there.
Nice.
I have a question about that. So the No Mow May also applies to the city parks? Are they not mowed during the month of May?
Well, we're mowing the parks.
We're mowing the parks.
Yeah, that, it's basically, yeah. So you're looking at, like, for instance, like my front lawn, I try to keep it a little longer, but it's kind of nice to be able to allow everything to pollinate, before I pull out the lawnmower and whack everything off, so, yeah.
Well, I was just wondering if the parks were going to follow that as well and
Yeah.
create more habitat for the pollinators, but
It'd be a great question for the grass crew, if they're gonna keep some areas,
It would depend on the portion of the turf. If it's
Yeah.
a athletic field that needs to be shorter, if it's kind of on the fringe, that doesn't need to be quite as short. So,
okay,
it can be kind of varied.
okay, thank you.
Any other announcements? I got one. I think you guys will be surprised that I wanted to bring this up.
Is it a
But I'm
vote?
going to do it anyway. It's pickleball tournament.
I was gonna say pickleball.
We got a pickleball tournament that's going to be May 20th at Becker Park. There's 3 categories. You got men's, women's, and mixed. It's $60 for registration. You're guaranteed, it says 3 games, but I assure you it's 3 matches. It's more than 3 games. And we do break out between different skill levels. It's basically like a beginners and then people who've been playing for quite a while, and those are the 2 categories. And we'll see some more tournaments later in the season up there as well, especially during frolic. So if you're interested in that, register by May 4th. And I'm not registered yet, but I will be. So, anything else? Looking for a motion?
Motion
John?
to adjourn?
All right. Go ahead, David.
I second that.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.